Man, that gets me every time, this new commercial. Holy cow, you're freaking rocking and rolling, buddy. Andy,
That is hype.
did you do that? Did you edit that new hype up video?
I was just getting y'all ready to go. You know, it's time. It's time to roll, boys. It's time to
Get the
roll,
blood,
fellas.
get the blood pumping. So,
Yeah.
all right. So everybody, we are super excited for tonight. We have a really cool dude. We've been hanging out with Matt Jackson from Modern Goonie for about 30 minutes now, just chatting away, man. We haven't shut up. So we got another hour that he has to deal with us for. But I don't know if you guys remember Daisy before. Now we're getting the other half. I don't know who's finding more. That was part of the discussion last time. But Matt, how are you doing, man?
Dude, I'm doing good, man. Thank you guys so much for having me on here. I feel like an hour and a half is just too little, man. We got so much to talk about.
Dude, it will fly by every single time. It doesn't
Every
matter
time.
who we have on. It literally, you start chatting, you look down at the clock, and you look up and you look down again, and it's already been an hour. So
It's crazy.
I mean, we've been hanging out for 30 minutes. It doesn't even feel like that. So
No.
so how's everybody else doing? How's Joe? How are you doing? You gonna talk tonight? You good?
Well, yeah, I'll talk to me. Sure.
All right. Mark's gonna bust you up if you don't. So Daisy's in the chat. I saw Ezra in there. Metal Detecting Brooklyn. Jerry's in there. I heard you were working, man. You shouldn't be on YouTube.
Busted.
He's in his
Busted.
loader listening to it.
Nancy's in there. Mark, both Marks are in there. Hey everybody. Thanks for coming by again. Like every week, we got the same family up here chatting and giving Joe a hard time, which is good. So
Keeps
Matt,
him young.
yeah, exactly. Matt, man, thank you for coming on. You have an awesome channel.
Thank you.
I think what, it's 2 years old now. This is the Modern Goonie channel.
Yeah, so October the 3rd will mark 3 years.
Oh, 3 years old now.
Yeah.
So let me ask you this. This channel I've watched pretty much from, I watched all the old videos, the middle videos, the new videos. You've changed hobbies quite a bit, haven't you?
Man, so oh man. I always just tell myself, and any of my friends used to joke with me, they're like, man, your nickname is 3 months. And I'm like, 3 months? They go, yeah, dude, you'll pick up a hobby for 3 months, drop it, another one. And yeah, I don't know. I think that, if my situation didn't happen the way it would have, I ask myself all the time, what I'd be doing, what I'm doing now.
Mm-hmm.
And I don't know. I don't know. I do enjoy what I do now more than what I did when I was fishing.
Yeah. Well, that's what I was going to say. It kind of started out, it seems like an outdoor channel, fishing channel, and then it's kind of morphed over time. What gave you the idea to start it off originally? To be, just to start a fishing channel when you were doing it in the beginning?
So my dad grew up fishing these bass tournaments all the time, was on the semi-pro tour for a little while, and
wow.
I've always been around bass fishing and stuff like that. We moved to the coast, and I remember working at a Chevrolet dealership selling diesel trucks, and saved up enough money. I was like, look, my dream, because my parents would never let me have a boat or a jet ski, and I'm like, that's cool. When I get my money, I'm going to go get me a boat. And I buy a boat, and that was the worst thing ever, because my dealership job was Monday through Sunday. It was. I mean, we had off on Sunday, but you had clients reaching into you, and all my buddies on the weekends, Saturdays, they're like, "Oh, Matt, we're at the sandbar. You gotta come out here, man." Here and there, repetitive. And then for the longest time, I told myself one day, I was like, "Look, you know what? I make a lot of money, and am I happy?" And then it hit me as you know what, dude, you determine your own happiness. And I got up from my desk, I walked to my boss's office. I was like, hey, look, man, I love my job. I have been salesman 2 months out of this whole year. I was like, but here's the thing, I'm putting in my 2 weeks. He goes, why? I said, I want to go have fun. He goes, what are you going to do? I said, I'm going to go get on my boat. I'm going to grab a video camera, and I'm going to film my whole journey. And he goes, that's the most honest answer I've ever heard. He goes, if you ever want your job back, never look back. I told myself, if I fail, I'm still not coming back.
Man, what a story. Hey,
that's a mic drop within itself, man.
Yeah, holy cow. You got 3 of us right now that are in the automotive business that would probably love to do the exact same thing right now.
It was tough, man. It was tough. It was not like, okay, I had money behind me. I mean, yeah, I had a loving family, and I had Daisy supported me the whole way, but I mean, there was when you go from making $6,000-8,000 a month to that paycheck just being gone, and now we're chasing a dream or chasing something that might not be here tomorrow. It's a scary thing, but I guess the happiness overrides the dollar amount, dollar figure and stuff.
Yeah, absolutely, man.
Intangible value, you know.
Yeah, and you know what? You never had to go back to your old boss and get your Chevy job back. So
Yeah, I know.
you did something right, Matt. You did something right. Well, that's cool, man. And you watched kind of the the evolution of your channel, and you went from fishing. You caught some big boy fish. So is there like, do you still fish now, or can you still fish, or is it tough?
I do every now and then. It's almost like I give the joke, if I pick the rod back up, I don't know if I can put it back down. So it's like I haven't picked it back up. Everyone's calling me like, look, Matt, hey, you want to go fish? You want to go do this? And occasionally, like, I'll do it, but it's a different experience than it was back in the day. I used to get yelled at all the time way before I met Daisy. I've always loved being around the water, and I think just being on the water there's some tranquility to it. But dude, I'd hop on my jet ski and go 10 miles off the coast of Tybee now, and turn the motor off and just lay my head back on the steering wheel and go to sleep. Like that was my peak. I did, because nobody out there can bother you, and I think that's the reason so tranquil. Like for once in your life, it's just you and the water and just Mother Nature at its finest. Like the ocean don't care about you, and that's just there's a scary feeling about it, but there's peace to that, and that's what I love. I mean,
well, and for those who don't know that are in our chat right now, Matt does a lot of diving. Now, Matt, did you dive while you was that something after you kind of put down the fishing pole a little bit, or did you do that all throughout your life? Or have you been always a diver?
So another funny story. So the same time, it kind of merges in scuba diving and finding shark's teeth. One day, Daisy got certified before me. Let's go and clarify that because I know she'll eat me up in the car. She got certified before me. Okay, there you go, baby. So I was at the dealership one day, and an elder guy walks in, and I had always found shark's teeth on land, and I had a megalodon tooth about that big laying on my desk. Conversation started, and I'm sitting here like looking at my computer, going through my clientele list, and this old man walks to me, goes, "You think that's a big shark's tooth?" And I like straightened up my suit jacket, and I was like, "Yeah, it's a very big shark's tooth." He goes, "That's a small tooth," and I'm like, "Well, like, who are you to say that?" And he pulls one out of his pocket. I mean, ginormous megalodon tooth. And I was like, "Oh my gosh!" I was like, "Where did you find that?" He goes, "I scuba dived for him." And he got a little off in the left field, but he got to talking about how he makes money off of these, selling them to dealers. Mm-hmm. And he goes, "Matter of fact, I'll make you a deal. If you go get certified, scuba certified," he said, "I will train you in any way that you want to do this for a living." He said, "Because I can look at you and tell that you're not happy doing what you're doing now." So 2 weeks later, I after I'd done quit my job, I told Daisy, like, "Hey, I'm gonna get scuba certified." We got scuba certified, and then the rest is just history. I mean, it was the beginning of the diving career while I was still fishing, but I was fishing more than diving at the time. I guess mainly because I didn't realize I loved it so much until like I was doing it every single day.
So that's what got you into fishing? Is just this random prophet that
fell into your lap?
No, well, not fishing. It got me into scuba.
Into scuba diving and finding megalodon teeth and shark teeth, and fossils and everything along those lines.
Like when I tell you my fossil hunting career story is crazy like that. Like that's just the beginning of how this stuff fell into my lap and how fortunate I was to learn the things I did. Going into the fossil hunting community. I was fortunate enough to be mentored by two of the best fossil hunters on the East Coast, and I would say to this day in the world, black water divers, and those guys took me under their wing, and I mean just that story alone is crazy. I mean, if I told you, would think, Matt, you're making this up, and no, it's real.
Well, and that's got to make you think, man. It's like some things were meant to be. You know what I'm saying? 100%. Like if that random man didn't come into your store and talk to you about that one tooth that you had sitting there, for a conversation starter, you would have never been. You may have never been doing what you're doing now.
No, I would have never.
Serendipity.
Yeah. So I don't know, Andy. Let me ask you this. I know I put them in a different order, but can you pull the video from the big megalodon tooth dive that they did for the video? I know that's the last one on the list, but can we do that one first? So we pulled out. It was I think it was two different dives, I think, or maybe it was the same one, but it was one that you guys had found a whole bunch of teeth, and then he has I mean, your buddy has a handful of different shark teeth. Now, are those like I know you can't see them, but are those all from different types of sharks, like different species and that sort of stuff, or are they
Yeah.
usually different sizes of megalodons, or how can you tell?
Look at that big one.
It depends on the
Dude.
clip
Yeah, pause it right there.
of which one it
Damn.
is.
This one is here. Let me get the actual name of the video. That way you know which one I pulled up. It was the scuba diving the black water for the giant megalodon teeth, and it
Okay.
was your buddy and I don't remember his name, to be honest with you, but it was towards the end of the video, and he had a whole handful of just regular teeth, and then he
That
pulls
thing's
out this
huge.
giant hand sized meg tooth that he's
Yeah.
showing. I don't know if you remember that. Yeah,
Yeah,
but
so it depends on the area we're in. Usually when we drop down to the bottom, it's a bunch of gravel tumbled up with bones, with all kind of sorts of fossils, and the majority of the time there'll be a variety of teeth. So you have some Angus sinus, you have some great whites, you have some
yeah.
hemis, tigers, some sand tigers, and stuff like that. And I mean, here's my philosophy is, people all the time used to get onto us. They're like, why don't you leave some on the bottom? Okay, well, the odds of us being in the exact same location every single dive is slim to none. So we bring up everything because we give to the kids anyway. All these teeth that you're seeing that we find, we don't ever keep. Like you can track us down and verify this. We have given away tens of thousands of teeth to just kids. I mean, it's crazy. We bring up everything.
Man,
That's
I
awesome.
don't.
That's awesome.
I don't know if I ever almost teared up until we had Daisy on the last time, and
Mhm.
what was his name? Carter. What was the kid's name? Is it
I think
Carter?
it's harder. Yeah.
Yeah, he posted on there on our live stream, and he was like, "Mom, I'm famous," and that was like the most touching thing, man, I've ever seen. But I mean, if you guys
Giving
are
out to
handing
all the
out
kids.
yeah, if you guys are handing out these shark teeth to the kids and to different people who it means so much to, you actually are making a huge impact on the kid's life. And it's really nothing to you, right? You find thousands of them and then you
Yeah.
can hand them to kids. So that's
But
cool.
see, it's cool because like for once you got a slight taste of what the full amount of what we get to handing that tooth over to that kid. Like yeah,
Mhm.
you got to see him say, "Oh my gosh, I'm famous" due to the show. That
Yeah.
that glow and that spark that got inside you is you times that by 20 when you give a tooth that's bigger than your hand to a child. He
Yeah.
picks it up. And it's like the amazement and like to me it's deeper than that because I remember my first tooth. I remember what I was
Mhm.
thinking. I remember seeing it for the first time and just know that that child's going through the same thing that I went through. My happiness now is seeing other people happy doing it for the first time. And dude, there's not a relic in the world. There's not a treasure I could find that's more satisfying than that feeling right
Mhm. No, I agree.
No doubt.
I agree, man. And that kind of, that paints a picture. We were talking about this before we got on about, the community and how people are and how people like to treat each other in the community. And, that's part of the fun, man. When we go to a property when we're metal detecting and they got 9 or 10 year olds or, a kid that he wants to follow us around, man, it might be annoying. You might not be able to dig as much as you possibly can, but for them, it's like we do it a million times. For them, they're finding nail and they think it's the cool. The recent time I went out with a kid, he found a horseshoe, and you would have thought that dude dug up a coin, like a jar full of gold coins. He was jumping around and cheering. I mean, and that makes our hobby a little bit better, seeing stuff like that. So
now. Little things in life, man, matter so much.
yeah, no,
Mhm.
it's true. It's true. So, but I mean, that kind of puts an idea of who you are as a person, Matt. But and a lot of these guys in our chat might have seen Digging with Maddie earlier this week. But you got an amazing backstory, just overall, some of the the trials and tribulations that you've gone through. For those of you who don't know, Matt, how much can you physically see out of your from your eyesight right now? What percentage?
So this eye is completely trashed. This eye, I've got 5% of what you call peripheral vision. And if you're looking at what you see on your eye, the outer band is completely dead. The inside of it is completely dead. And then it kind of cobwebs around it, just of dead spots. But the rest of it's just blurry. So I can see shapes. I can see light. I can see a little bit of color. But as far as detail, that's about as good as it gets.
Yeah.
That's with corrected cataract in this eye. They put a lens in there and stuff like that. But everything that I look at, like my cell phone, is overly big with big numbers and stuff like that. I mean, I can see a little bit, but it's not good enough to where I could drive or anything like that, or take care of myself to a certain extent.
Yeah. And if we were talking about this too, if you guys are questioning it, I've seen this guy dig up a dime and have no idea what it is. He knew it was a coin, but he had no idea what coin it was, and it was a clad dime. So, but he was excited about it. So that's all I gotta say. But that's got to be proof. But as I watched that, and I know, I mean, Mike, Joe, Eric, you speak up too if you want to talk on it. But I watched some of these videos. And you just how do you do it, man? How are you diving and finding shark teeth? And how are you metal detecting when that much vision is gone? Like the diving, especially, is finding shark teeth. Is it all from just, feel and touch at that point?
Yeah. So like I got chills because of my whole story, like that is the beginning, the roots to why I did why I'm doing what I'm doing, why I did what I did. Is going back to the meeting that old man that was going to show me how to megalodon tooth, and it was him, and then there was this other guy named the Shark Tooth Fairy who I was obsessed with. I was like, look, I want to meet this guy so much. So I reached out to him, and he's like, yeah, man. He said, come join us. And this is why my vision was slowly decreasing, so I could see him, I could see that stuff, what he was doing and stuff. And make a long story short, we became friends, and I did some video work for him. Well, one day we were sitting on the dock, and I had just got out of my 8th or 9th surgery, and the doctors had already prepared me. They were like, look, Matt, some of the things you're used to doing, you are no longer going to be able to do. And then they got to touching on driving and doing this other stuff. And then one of them was brought up with scuba diving. Well, see, scuba diving was somewhat of a passion. And the whole time I'm sitting there in severe depression. I'm not gonna lie to you guys. A place I hope no one ever has to go through. And I'm on the dock, and I knew Mike went through depression as well, through other stuff, and I knew scuba diving was his way just to get away from it. And we were talking, and I remember it was yesterday. He grabs me on the shoulder and he looks at me. He goes, "You do realize you don't need to scuba dive, right?" I was like, "What do you mean?" He said, "We're diving black water." He said, "It's braille diving." He goes, "Some of the biggest teeth and best museum quality teeth I've ever found in my life was in no visibility at all." He said, "I literally was going by feel." He said, if you can braille dive," he called it, going by feel, he said, you'll be one of the best fossil hunters in the world." He said, just solemnly on just diving, dropping down to the bottom and grabbing objects. And that hit home. It for the longest time that sat with me for about a month or two, and finally I had enough, and I picked up the phone. I was like, "Mike, let's go dive." And he's like, "That's the attitude." And the rest is history, man. But yeah, I mean, we dive in waters that a 6,000 lumen, 10,000 lumen light doesn't even exist. You drop 5 inches below the water, you can kiss the sun goodbye, and it's a slow drop to the bottom. But it's one of those places where, and Daisy will tell you this, there's two things I always say. One, I wish I could spend my whole life underwater, and I really mean that. And then two, you can take me to the clearest, beautiful water. You could take me to the what's it called, the continental shelf or continental reef. You could take me there. I would be miserable because just black water. There's nothing more tranquil than floating in a black abyss. It's just it's you, your heartbeat. That's it. You got sharks swimming around you. They're not going to bother you. You got big stingrays. They're not going to bother you. And then you're just crawling, man. Just crawling at nighttime. I mean, I don't know. I smile I love it.
Yeah, man, that's
just
amazing.
my thing. I don't know. People call me crazy. They call it suicide. They tell me I'm an idiot. But at the end of the day, man, like, and I'll say this too, like, and if I ever die, if there's ever something ever happens to me and I'm doing it in black water, just know like that was what I wanted to go. That's the way I wanted to go out. I love it.
Man, that's amazing. And let me ask you, for this black water, right? First of all, I probably no way in hell I'm gonna jump into that water. I don't feel like it, at least. I get a little claustrophobic anyway, so getting into a place where you can't see. What makes it so dark? Is it just soot and dirt and everything washed up?
It's the sediment. It's the sediment. It's the high current that's constantly moving stuff in front of you. It has a lot to do with the back rivers and all the rain and the water. I mean, I think the Edisto, the Ashley, and the Morgan are all dumping out into the Atlantic. And I mean, everything on the East Coast is kind of dirty until you get further out, and then it starts to clear up. But the stuff that we're diving in, I call it like toilet bowl water, because it's just sitting there just swirling, and like you just get all the nasty stuff in there. But that's what makes it so dark. But I mean, you can watch several of my videos, and I actually think the blessed dive, or the greatest dive we ever had, you can see me hold onto the anchor line, and about a foot after I drop down, I mean, it is.
You're completely gone.
Yeah, you kiss the sun goodbye.
Holy cow, man!
So Matt, real quick, sorry, Trey. So Matt, so these places that you go to hunt for these megalodon, these fossils. Now, is this rivers? This is lakes? I mean, are these? Is it off the coast of the land in salt water? I mean, where would one say if somebody was wanting to do what you're doing and get out there and try this? Where would you recommend somebody to start, and what gear are they going to need to just dip their feet in the water, kind of, per se?
Unintended.
Yeah, so any part of like the East Coast, as far as like South Carolina, North Carolina, you get on a map and you look at the fall line, the prehistoric ocean levels, and you got to think, back in the day, water was way higher than what it is now, and you got the megalodon breeding capital of the world is in the Charleston area of South Carolina, meaning that you don't necessarily have to dive for these teeth. You can go to a creek in Charleston and start sifting around and find shark's teeth. You can there's news articles all the time of people putting in whales, swimming pools, and stuff like that, and digging 9 feet down and hitting megalodon tooth, and they're like, "What in the world is this?"
Wow.
It's not. Megalodon teeth, they seem very rare, but it's not as uncommon as you think it is. It's very common. I mean, you got to think, over the past 2 years, we've probably found over, 20,000 teeth, and that's not even scratching the surface. It seems like a lot, but I mean, as much as they were losing teeth, that is nothing. But you could literally be an amateur at this, go hop in a creek and just start studying it. For the long. And Daisy will tell you this. Like, I mean, way before I met Daisy, I was trying to figure this out before I met anyone who had any knowledge on how to find these teeth. And I have, and it's like metal technique. I have cried over this sport. I have broke things over this sport. I have gotten mad and said, "You know what? Screw it. I'm never doing it again on this sport." It's a very aggravating sport, but it's the constant chase. Like, you find a 1-inch tooth and you're like, okay, the next one I got to find is a 1.5 or 2 inch. 2 inch. It's just, you keep going. And I mean, I'm at that point now where I'm chasing a tooth that I may never find, but it's that fuel that just keeps it going. And anybody can do it. I mean,
so you just need to pair up. You just need to basically the will and, to get out and do it. I mean, really, be in that type of environment, that area, and just go and do it.
Oh yeah. And for the longest time, me and Daisy and the whole crew on the YouTube channel, we would tell people like, hey, like, if you want to go find a shark's tooth, like, let us know. We get more enjoyment out of helping people find them on land than we do finding them ourselves. I mean, the whole scuba diving thing, like, that comes with experience. I mean, I'm not guaranteeing you that, but I can point you in the right direction or take you to find some teeth. I mean, that's what we're here for. We're not here to be stingy about it. I mean, I can't give you all the keys and the answers to the puzzle.
Right.
The blood, sweat, and tears that we put through, but I mean, I can help you out. I mean, that's nothing.
Man, that's pretty incredible, man. I really want to try. I mean, the thing that got me into treasure hunting and metal detecting, I'd always been a a fan of the hunt. You know what I mean? To find something, I used to go back in the woods with my dad, and we would. I mean, you're out. I grew up in Kansas City, or right outside of Kansas City, so right in the middle of the country. But you would go out into the woods, and you'd go back in some of these old creek beds, pretty much all dried out. But you would find fossils from creatures who were in the water. And I'm in the middle of the country at that point, and that's what amazed me. And that's when we went back there with a hammer and a chisel, and we were chiseling out these, you would look for them, and you would find them. Finally, that's kind of what got me into it. Now, I didn't start metal detecting until
we got a Facebook question. Somebody asked if you can find megalodon teeth on the West Coast. Is that a possibility, or?
Yeah, so you can. There's a spot in California. You can find them on the West Coast. They're not as common as they're on the East Coast. We can get into the archaeology and all this other stuff, like yada yada, what science tells us, but what it boils down to is you're gonna find more on the East Coast and that South Carolina, tip of Georgia, North Carolina area, more than you will the East Coast. Can you? Yeah, but I mean, I don't know, if you want to come do it, I definitely would start on the East Coast more than the West Coast.
Now, what made it the breeding ground for those megalodons? Was it the good barbecue that you guys got down there? What was really turning those guys on? So,
the shallow waters, shallow warm waters where they could actually feed, and actually it's crazy. So how history repeats itself. So during special times of the month, the great whites actually migrate to Charleston and Hilton Head to lay their to have their young, and it just shows you patterns over patterns over patterns. I mean, there's massive great whites that get caught off of the coast of South Carolina. People are like, I'm not getting in those waters. They're not gonna bother you.
All right. Yeah. Well, I mean, I pulled one of the videos, but it doesn't really, because we talked about how you have to feel around. Now, was there a time in your diving that you felt something and you're like, yeah, I probably shouldn't be touching this right now?
all the time, dude.
Yeah.
Yeah. So funny story. I think it was me and Bryce. We were diving for golf balls. I've been killing it on the golf balls here lately.
Yeah, I saw the video. Yeah.
And so I dropped down and I'm sitting there and I'm grabbing. I'm searching for round things. So I'm picking them up, put them in my. I can tell because I knock on my mask and oh, that's a golf ball. Well, I went to go reach down and it was a turtle's head that was sticking out. I went to go grab him. When I did, he grabbed my glove and I snatched back and I was like, oh!
Dang.
I couldn't get mad because it's sorry, homie. I know I'm in your hole.
Do you have thicker protective gloves for that though?
Sometimes. No? Other times I can't really feel that much.
Yeah, I guess. Yeah.
Yeah. And then there's another video, Blake. So they love pranking me all the time. And it was me, Blake, and Nugget. We were swimming, and we found 1,000 rotary phones underwater for who knows what reason. I mean, just a mound of rotary phones. So we swim over the top of them, and I'm answering the phones just for fun. I'm putting them up to my ear, hello. And Blake comes over the radio. He goes, "Hey, turn around," and he hands me this orange black rock. What I think is, I'm like, oh, what is this? And I reach over there, and he was holding a turtle. And the turtle reached out and grabs me, and I'm screaming under. He won't let go. And Nugget's freaking out. He goes, dude, let go. I'm like, I can't.
It's holding me.
Yeah, we get to the surface. I'm like, man, I hate you guys.
That's some bad friends, man. That's some bad friends. So.
Hey, you gotta love them though, man.
Oh, that's funny. I thought about it back in the day. I used to go fishing, but we didn't have any. I was in the Midwest. We have rivers and lakes, basically, right, and ponds. So I used to go down to a river that these guys would noodle. I don't know if you've ever tried that. You're in the water a lot. You're touching stuff. But they would noodle underneath these big concrete things. And I always thought, man, there's no way I'm sticking my hand in a hole like that with a turtle or a snake or whatever it may be. But listen.
They're so strong, man. There's no way. I've seen it happen before in real life, and now they can have it.
Yeah. You'll stick with the fishing pole, huh?
Yeah.
Let's see. I brought up some other videos too of some of your guys' diving finds. And I think when Daisy was on, we might have talked about it, but I pulled up the cannonball find.
Oh yeah.
You were with Nugget and you guys found a cannonball.
Yeah,
That's
so
really cool.
Is that
funny story.
is
Funny
that?
story about that.
I'm
What's
sorry.
up, Andy?
Was that your first video? The first video?
The first video, yeah, 253 is when
I
you
got
first
you. I got you. Okay,
find
go
it.
ahead.
Yeah.
Sorry, didn't mean to interrupt.
No, you're good. But yeah, there it is. He's playing it right now. That's cool.
Yeah, so
And
go ahead.
no, yeah, Nugget's just super pumped. What was the story?
Oh yeah, so the story is Nugget initially came down to Savannah for a 2-day dive and wound up staying a month and a half with me. Like
Yo.
like to put it in perspective, I think the first week we were down there, we found a cell phone made Inside Edition. Good Morning America. The next day we found a Civil War rifle. The next day we found a shotgun. The day after that we drive to Atlanta, found a Sherman March's cannonball. I mean, the finds that we were finding each day. At one point, I looked at Nugget and I was like, "Dude, there's no way they're going to believe us when we upload this."
Yeah.
And we get to this one spot in Atlanta, and Nugget looks at me. He goes, "I got a good feeling that we might find some Civil War stuff here." And I was like, "Why?" And Nugget gets into this all like history class. We're like 26 coordinates to the left of west and all that stuff. I'm like, dude, like just get your gear on, like let's go dive. And so in situations like that, what you're looking on the clip is me and Nugget dive side by side, and majority of the time I'm actually holding on to Nugget's tank, and because he goes down first to make sure there's no structure. Well, at this point, he's got his AT Pro. He's swinging it back and forth. And I'm on the left side, and I got a little pinpointer. I'm looking on this side, there he can't cover. Well, at this point, I heard him underwater like, and I look over like, dude, are you all right? And he hands me. I didn't know it was a cannonball at this point, but he hands it to me, and you see me my whole body rock.
Yeah.
And at this point, I knew exactly what it was, and I'm jumping. I'm like, yeah, we found it. And I handed it back to Nugget. Well, Nugget's inflation on his BC was not heavy enough to carry it up. So we go to the surface and we're looking around like, where'd he go? And we see his bubbles. We're like, oh, dang, like he's still down there.
Is that so? He has that. I was watching. He's got that string, and then it looks like almost like a tube. Is that what that was? Like
so
an inflation device?
A buoy marker. Yeah, it was a buoy marker. We marked it because we thought that there was more Civil War artifacts down there. Because if you look at it, that bridge is blown. I mean, that's why it was an old Civil War bridge that was blown, and there's all kind of debris and artifacts and stuff down there. And he sent a buoy marker to the top that when we got up and we removed the cannonball, we could go back down to the same location. Yeah. But I had to drop back down, pick it up, and I inflate. I go to the surface, and he's like, "Man, I'm so glad you came down there and got it." He's like, "Because I wasn't coming off the bottom." And I'm looking at it, I'm like, dude, I think there's a fuse in it. And he was like, I don't know. You start chiseling it off, and it was a solid shot. I mean, beautiful solid.
Wow, that's so cool.
That's a find of a lifetime right there in of itself. So that's really cool. Hey, Matt, Nancy asked, what type of camera does Matt use for underwater detecting? What kind of camera stuff do you have?
So I had a lot of expensive gear, and this is like years of YouTube. Keep it simple. Keep it very simple. Yeah. My blind self, as good as it gets, is a GoPro Hero 8, baby. that's everything. Because I mean, you got to think. Why are you going to spend? And I've had $10,000 cameras. I've had $1,000 cameras. It's like, why are you going to spend all that money and involve those cameras into a niche that you're in that's completely outdoors? You can drop it in a puddle. It could be a downpour. You fall in the river. So, I mean, yeah, the GoPro technology, when I was in film school, technology was nowhere near where it is now. And I call it hack, but you can set that GoPro and dial it in to fine tune it to get so good results, better than some DSLRs out there on the market. So for $300, because I know they're not doing that $100 off program, you can never go wrong with a vlog camera, underwater camera, stuff like that. And I'm not sponsored by GoPro. I'm just saying like just that camera within itself is well worth the money.
Yeah. Well, and they added the new stabilization feature in the 7, I think. Yeah. And I have the 7, and man, it keeps it super smooth as you're walking with the GoPro.
Yep.
So real quick, Matt, I got a question about this. So when you are going underwater and you do these water, because obviously this is something that I think anybody who metal detects is really interested in, the water diving, metal detecting. I mean, that's really, 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 really cool. But for you, when you go out, is your basic gear just like a pulse dive pinpointer, or just like a Garrett carrot, or I mean, what is your, or do you not even bring any metal detecting equipment, or is that more of a Nugget thing, I guess, or?
No, so I mean, of course, every time Nugget dives, he's down with the AT Pro. He's got a modified shaft on it. But usually I'll either run the Garrett carrot, or I don't have a pulse dive yet from the Nocta Macro pulse dive. I don't have one of those yet, but I usually use that carrot, because with that carrot, if I swing over it and it gives me a signal, usually Nuggets that close, or whoever else is with me, we can get on the intercom and say, hey, I got a signal. And if there's a lot of iron in the water, we can kind of dial it down. But I still every once in a while I'll do it, but my Nocta Macro Amphibio, I can shrink down to a smaller unit, and the VDI is good enough, but that machine vibrates, so it's got a VDI vibration within it that I've kind of recognized and can tell the difference between iron and any other kind of discrepancies in the water that help us find stuff that way. But I mean, the cannonball, of course, when he swung over it, it was so loud. I mean, it would blow your ears off. I mean, we knew either it was a huge piece of the bridge, or it was just the cannonball.
Yeah.
Oh, that's really cool.
I wish, for years, I mean, and this is before I even got into it, but Nugget has been saying, and like nowadays, I wish they would create a pulse dive with a LED VDI that would help divers out. I mean, for years we've been telling them. I mean, I even told Nocta Macro a couple of weeks ago, and Kelly, I was like, look, guys, like, please make a pulse dive. It's got a small LED VDI. It'd be a game changer.
Right.
I think any pinpointer with a VDI would be a game changer. Now we had a pinpointer. I got one from China to test out. I wanted to see it, and it had I get it, but it was really cool. It had a digital display on it, which was pretty cool, and it falsed way too much. Otherwise, I would be trying to sell it, but it falsed way too much. It didn't have a VDI, but it showed, like, in certain terms how close you were to the target by showing like this certain bars. So it was kind of cool. So they are moving that way, at least in China. Maybe if we can get some of our actual brands to get on board and really put out a good product, that would be really neat.
Oh god, yeah, that would be really cool. I mean, I have the Profine from Mine Lab, and it would be kind of nice. It has the iron audio, or not the iron audio, but the the audio, or the iron differentiation where it'll pulse. It's called the iron pulse, I think, which is nice when you're trying to find a certain target in a hole that's covered in nails too. So what you're trying to pinpoint. But having a VDI on there to know exactly what you're looking for, or at least give you an idea, would be really nice.
And see, the cool thing about it is, not a lot of people realize this, but we rarely search lakes for artifacts. I mean, with that, if we're searching something with no current and it's a lake, I'll use the Amphibio. That way I can dial it in. In a river, your current is moving so fast. The majority, 99.9% of the time, is if this is said it's a shotgun barrel and your sand surface is right there, you're going to see the tip of that shotgun. You're going to know exactly what it is. You're going to see something abnormal. That's what my mind is so trained to sit there and look at abnormal things. And don't get me wrong, it has bit me in the butt so many times, because I've actually swam over guns. And my buddy behind me would be like, hey, did you not see this? And that's when I just want to, like, snatch his airline out of his face. But it's like, come on, man. Like, I'm trying, Doesn't matter if you got a metal detector or a pinpointer, you'll just get so used to it. Or I'll use right hand for the pinpointer and take my left hand and slowly stick it in the sand. And then when I hit something abnormal, I'll pick it up and be like, oh my gosh, like, this is a barrel or a sword or something like that.
So now, when you're diving lakes at that point, when something without a current, are you typically, because I mean, I've not scuba dove in any lakes, but I've done some snorkeling in lakes and stuff and spearfishing and whatnot. And I'm dealing with a lot of silt down there. Is it sandy in most of the lakes that you're diving in, or is it that muddy, stick your foot in and you're going 18 inches down type situation?
Yeah, it's stuff like that. We hardly ever dive in sand, even in the rivers. But you got to think, when I initially learned to dive, and then Daisy got got kind of Miyagi'd into it. But when you dive black water, even at your worst visibility in a lake, that's tranquility. Like it's like okay, I still can't see, but we're so used to not being able to see. We're like, come on. And you got some friends that are like, I am not getting in that water.
Right. Well, even at that point, obviously, and you can't see, and no one can see down there, and it's legitimately just fully like a sensory deprivation tank at that point, which people pay for therapy for. So it's secondhand value there for sure.
Yeah, exactly.
I bet it does get pretty peaceful under there, though. You know what I mean?
Yeah, when I can completely just block out the world, minus the people that are on the radio, like you can get like we used to joke around all the time when we had 3 radios. It was me, Nugget, my dad buddy Blake. And we sit there and make each other laugh to try to use up more oxygen, so you can stay down there and find more teeth longer. We used to do that all the time. But dude,
that's
you get
strong
a song,
sabotage.
You get a song, like a song stuck in your head, and you go down there and you're like humming it the whole time. You're just down there like grooving along. Yes, it's so peaceful, man. Everybody should at least try it one time.
That's fair. Yeah,
I gotta try. Get over my fears of doing that dark water and just hop in, man. Just hop in. I want to try it at least.
Dude, you're in like very good hands. Like seriously.
Yeah.
Honestly, knock on wood, of all my YouTube buddies who have came down, never had any blackwater diving experience. Every single one of them, before we jump off the boat, I'm like, look, man, like I know I'm blind, but I swear, like I'm not here to like kill you or put you in harm's way. And Bryce was one of them. Bryce is the type of person, he was having fun, but he won't tell you if he's scared or not. And we strapped in and we stepped off the ledge, and it was just a 15-foot, just straight free fall till we hit the bottom. And then we got up on the surface. You could just tell, like, he was smiling ear to ear. He goes, dude, this is the funnest I've ever had.
That's awesome.
So
that's really cool. And then if you look at like now, I mean, you've gotten into a couple other things. Is Nugget kind of the one that brought you into the metal detecting world, or?
Here we go again. All right,
magic story.
Do you have to credit Nugget for something, or is it Daisy?
No, so all right. So here's the luck of the draw. Okay, so Daisy, her whole career, or I say career, that's horrible. Her whole life, she's always wanted to metal detect. Her parents never had a metal detector. So before that, Nugget came into the picture, and me and Nugget were just diving all the time. Nugget has a huge passion for scuba diving. Probably more than metal detecting. That's the actual fun fact for any Nugget fans out there. Is he scuba diving more? Anything to do with water. He's like me. Yeah. So along the same time as Nugget would hand me these metal detectors, and this is before I knew anything. He's like, I was like, here, put me on the down to find whatever settings, and he would dial it in into me. He's like, look, if it goes off, just dig everything. He said the best metal detectors in the world, dig everything. He's like, I'm telling you that right. That's okay, cool. So I learned a little bit from him, and then Daisy, she got her metal detector, and I'm like, this is the dumbest purchase we have ever made in a family household. Like, no offense. Hey, this story gets better, I promise. And so she's out in the backyard, and I'm seeing her like getting upset and frustrated and then happy, and then it was just like a huge roller coaster of like emotion. But she's trying to learn this machine, and I'm like, why don't you call Nugget? Like, he can literally tell you how this stuff goes down. And I would call Nugget at nighttime, like, hey man, like, what am I doing? What is she doing wrong and stuff like that? Well, finally, I had enough. I was like, look, you know what? I'm bored. I'm gonna go out there and try it one day. And I think that was like Nugget's biggest regret, was me calling him every single night saying, dude, you're not gonna believe this. Like, I found a 2001 penny in the backyard. It was amazing. I went over there. I was like, it hit the solid number. I was like, I've done it all by myself. And he started laughing. He said, man, you're bringing me back to my childhood days when I first started metal detecting. I guess kudos goes to Daisy for getting me into it. Kudos for Nugget for teaching me the stuff that I needed to know.
Oh, that's cool. Now, how did you get, was it just, random that you and Nugget met, or did you know each other before, or, how did, you make that connection?
So I used to watch Nugget's videos all the time, and I knew that he had a following on Instagram, but it wasn't as big as on YouTube. So I was thinking in my mind, I was like, okay, well, I got a better shot of him answering my Instagram message than I do through YouTube. And I messaged him one day because me and Gigmaster were talking back and forth. I know Gigmaster, and I know Matt over there were gone digging real well. And I shot a DM to Nugget, and I said, hey, man, I was like, look, like, I noticed that you do a lot of water hunting. You can scuba dive. I was like, why don't you come down to South Carolina and I'll get you on some giant megalodon teeth. And he instantly wrote me back. He goes, dude, he's like, I've been wanting to find one of these forever. And it's kind of looked like, again, that fell in my lap at the same time. Because it was like, he's pretty much said, when can I go? Well, funny story is we planned it a month ahead. And the day he was supposed to come down, massive storms. We had to postpone another 2 weeks. Another massive storm. Finally, Nugget was like, dude, you just want me to come down, do you? And I was like, look, I can't help this. And he comes down and never touched black water. And I remember when he got to my house and he was like, what's the plan for tomorrow? I said, Nugget, I said, dude, I'm gonna baby step you into black water. I was like, because I'm not the type of person that's gonna like endanger your life. We started Nugget at 8 feet, then we started him at 10 feet, went down to 12. And I think around 16 feet in a back river, he found his first meg, and he comes up, and I mean, he is like ecstatic. I mean, you could like 1,000 miles an hour. You're like, dude, like, you couldn't shut him up. He's like, I gotta get more. And that led into like a virus that he has to this day. And if you ask him about it, he's like, look, like, I love scuba diving black water. And then the following day, we met with one of my buddies who mentored me, Alan DeVere, who recently passed away. And Nugget got to meet one of the most genuine fossil hunters in the world for one time. And that impacted him for a little while because, you know, the whole story on Alan, you know, we can no longer dive with him. And I think that Nugget, it stinks because Nugget stays so busy that we couldn't go dive with him. But how much he loved the sport.
Yeah, that's a shame. Well, thank you, Daisy, for getting them into metal detecting so we can have them on the show. So, well, that's cool. Daisy had the AT Max, and now you say you use the Amphibio. And do you have any other toys that you ended up purchasing after the fact?
Well, so knock on wood. So I didn't have to actually buy the metal detector. Kudos to Kellyco and Mark. Mark reached out to me, heard my story. He said, hey, man, he said, and I was being honest with Mark. I said, Mark, I don't know nothing about these machines. Yeah. I know the Max, I know the Pro. I was like, but none of the VDI, like, I cannot see. And Mark said, he's like, look, I got a machine I can send to you that vibrates. And it was kind of cool the way it worked out because as I'm learning metal detecting, I'm also learning how to metal detect blind. So they kind of merged in together. So my trials and my errors and my learning capabilities all happened at the same time with this machine. And like to this day, that's all I use is that Amphibio. Like I don't have no other machine. The Garrett Carrot, any pinpointer to me works the same. As long as it vibrates, tells me what the object is, like that's fine. Yeah. But yeah, that Amphibio, it has helped me find a lot of things.
Well, I got to tell you this, man. You might be blind, but you dig a lot better plugs than most of these guys that I see out here. Like that's all I got to say.
I take that like that. That's the biggest compliment I've got. Nugget used to be on my butt. He was like, "Look, man, if there's one thing you need to know about metal detecting, clean plugs. Like you don't want no one there." So I would dig one. I can remember like my first one. He looks down. He goes, "Really?" He's like, come on, man. I was like, I don't have a special shovel. And like to this day, I'm not lying to you guys. I don't have a special shovel like a Piranha or a Grave Digger. I have got a $7.99 Walmart garden shovel that plugs with. I call it the backbreaker. Awesome. Like that's my inside joke.
Well, I think one of the ones that I watched might have been your very first attempt because you were using the AT Max and you're like, I have no idea what the hell I'm going out there. And you're using that shovel too. I was like, oh man, this is funny. And then you dug that dime, but the plug wasn't bad, man. I gotta give you props. So take notes, all right? Take notes. You see plugs out there that are destroying the yards. This guy's blind and he's doing a better job than you. So
I wanted to be to where I didn't have to have $100 or $200 shovel to actually go out there and have fun. I wanted to make it as cheap as possible. That way people are like, dang, like this dude is doing it with a $7.99 shovel and he's still having out there having fun. So that's why I did that. Yeah.
You don't need anything too expensive. Except if you ask Joe, what happened to your cheaper shovel, Joe?
Oh, I broke it in half.
Now, in defense of Joe, the ground was frozen solid. This thing was a pretty skinny shovel, so
yeah.
It was like detecting concrete.
So we did have your video of the Indian head penny. You want to pull that up real quick?
Which one? Well, that's it.
Andy?
No, the
And
exploring
the
old
second
house.
one.
Yeah.
Second one, 640.
Yeah, I got you. I got you.
The one Nana just absolutely destroys.
Well,
My first Indian head penny, and she just destroys it.
you know what's funny? You dug that Indian head penny, and I was watching like you guys clean it up, and I was like, oh man, I know they're getting some flack in the comments for this. I scroll down, and everyone just like, you should put water out. You should put water out. But that's cool. You know, it's even cooler. So it's funny because Daisy's like, I think it's an Indian head. I'm not. It's got the 1 cent on the back, and at one point you call it a wheat cent, but then you guys will easily figure it out later. But that was your first one. Is that your oldest coin?
I think so.
Yeah.
I'm pretty sure. Yeah.
Here comes the clean.
Yeah, there it is.
Oh my! Everybody's like cringing right now. Oh my god!
We've all been there. I'll tell you what, man. My first large cent, I absolutely ran straight to the hose pipe and doused that. And
I'd be like,
once bitten, twice shy. But dang,
yeah,
I'd be lying.
I called my buddy after we got home. I was like, "Hey man, like I found my first Indian head." I was like, "My Nana just kind of just toasted it," and he goes, "Well," I was like, "Well, how can I preserve it?" And he caught me off guard. He goes, "Well, rub it up." He goes, "Put it on your forehead and rub it straight across your forehead." And I'm like, "Dude, look, I don't have time for games." Like I was freaking out. I was like, "I got like this thing is literally deteriorating in my hand." He goes, "No, seriously, dude." He's like, "Rub it on your face." He goes, "The oil off your skin will preserve."
Yeah.
And as soon as I did it, it brought it right back to life. And I'm like, oh my gosh, so this is bad. So I rubbed it really well, put it in a Ziploc bag, airtight it, and like to this day, I have not touched it.
Yeah.
That's why you're wearing a hat. You got a wicked scar right up there from rubbing that in so many times.
The one time it turns out to be good to be greasy. That's all.
Right.
She pulls out the baking soda.
Right?
Yeah.
This is great.
You know what I thought was funny because I was watching that, Matt, and your Nana was like, I can tell what it is just by feeling it. And Daisy was like, no, you can't. That was pretty funny.
That's
They
great.
need to go, man. Those two together are hilarious.
I can only imagine.
Oh man. And so I mean, you went from diving to metal detecting. Now you guys have been doing a lot of magnet fishing. Yeah.
Yes.
It's something that we have the tools, but we just haven't done it very much. So you guys seem to be pretty successful with it. Yeah. I mean, wherever you're going, I mean, success is, I guess, a term that you can use loosely or whatever you want to say, depending on what you find as treasure. But you guys seem to be finding a lot with it.
Yeah. You know, thanks to Bryce and getting me addicted to it. I used to think, honestly, I was like, magnet fishing, like this can't be fun. And then I messed up and got my first magnet. And then and Daisy were finding crazy stuff. And I was, this is ridiculous. Like, stuff. Yeah, I'm all about like cleaning up the waters and like in the environment and stuff like that. And not only are you doing a good thing, but it's also the curiosity, I guess, of the finds. But yeah, I mean, we just got back from a trip from Chicago. It was 6 of the best, 5 of the best magnet fishing channels on the platform, all met up in Chicago. And we went and, you know, I don't want to give away too much, but the series of events that are coming on YouTube, guys, just it's stuff that you just sit there and look like there's no way. There's just no way.
Yeah, he told us the story. I mean,
it's crazy. Definitely keep an eye out for that.
Dangerous stuff going on. You got some cool finds. You got it all, man. That's going to be a good series of videos. That's for sure.
And it's not clickbait. Like, I'm not telling y'all this to hype this stuff up. Whoever's watching, like, this is 100% what you see is what you get. I mean, it's mind blowing.
Yeah, that's cool. Now, I mean,
quick,
besides
Trey,
that,
quick,
what's up?
I just wanted to say something really quick. Hey, Matt, so before we get off that topic, can you please tell the viewers, whoever's watching on YouTube or Facebook or wherever, where people can find you, what your tags are, how they can follow you, how and keep up with all your awesome adventures?
Yeah, so I would send you to Facebook and Instagram, but the majority of our work, and because the way my situation is being blind, I don't really post. If you want to send me a message, send it on Instagram. It's at modern_Goonie. Facebook is modern Goonie, but the whole story, the background, everything we upload, everything we do is put on the YouTube, and that is modern Goonie on the YouTube. So
yeah,
two words.
go subscribe to him. That's
Yeah.
for sure. He's got a lot of good content on there, and it sounds like even more better content's coming.
Yeah, I almost got hit by a train. Did y'all see that video?
Yeah, I haven't watched that video yet, but that's, I mean, the dangers you put yourself in to freaking go magnet fishing.
Do it for the treasure.
Man,
Oh, that's
Martin,
fun.
they don't play.
Yeah, I haven't seen that one yet, but I got to. Yeah, Nancy's nice enough. She's typing all the stuff in the YouTube, all the links.
Yeah, she's
Instagram.
awesome.
I haven't seen
Thank you.
Facebook yet, but she put the YouTube and Instagram for sure. So make sure to get over there and subscribe. And yeah, I mean, you guys got anything else? We got 3 minutes left.
I got something.
What?
Eric, what's up?
So, Matt, when you're diving, you always talk about a diving buddy you have with you. Now, what is your safety precautions that you have with him or the boat regarding safety?
So it's hard to say, like when we're diving Blackwater, because Blackwater goes against everything you're taught in dive school. You know, when we go down together, we try to stay as close as we can. But I mean, even if we're 4 inches apart, and I can physically feel you, if I turn my light to you, you can't see it. So the concept was back and forth, kind of give us an idea of like, hey, what is my air? Hey, what depth are we at? And the boat can hear the same thing. They have an intercom system. They can talk to us back and forth. Safety precautions is if we lose one another, we usually search for about 5 or 10 minutes. If we don't see it, we don't find each other, whatnot, we surface up, look around or find the boat, get back on the boat. And again, we're talking back and forth. So it's not like we're not hearing each other. Rarely something serious happens to where we lose each other on the calls. We're either holding on by tether, or we're holding on just by straps within itself. And then of course Clearwater is kind of like, yeah, you stay in a close vicinity, but all these full face masks, as long as they're on your face, I mean you're getting air, you're getting oxygen, you're good. They have quick disconnects. So let's just say I get hung up in a tree branch down there. I've got 10 minutes of air. We can go to the boat, bring another tank down, and quick disconnect the air hose to another tank. And as long as we're still feeding the air, we're good. I mean, until we run out of air on the surface.
That's awesome. Yeah.
Sorry.
You guys got anything else? Joe, Mike, you guys good?
Yeah, I mean, no, listen, I think that, I don't know, you've inspired me a little bit more to get out and break out the magnet rig, because I know there's definitely some cool stuff to be had. So, and it's just something that for me, when I first got my magnet fishing set up, I was afraid to keep it in the car because I kept my detector in the car for a long time. And I was like, I don't know how this pretty strong magnet is going to affect my detector. And I was a little bit superstitious about it. But now I just I gotta keep it in the ride with me, because I mean, but is there any tips and tricks that you have for magnet fishing? I mean, just get out there, huck it in, and see what you get.
Yeah, I mean, magnet fishing is the curiosity kills the cat. I mean, there's a lot of common sense where you're like, okay, this is a good spot.
Yeah.
And then there's a lot of history to it that you can look and search. Like, okay, was this an old crossing? Is there a lot of gang violence here? Is there a lot of foot traffic? I mean, you'll be surprised at the stuff that people lose. You know, if cell phones and money was magnetic, like I'd probably be a millionaire. I'm not even gonna lie. But sadly enough, that's not the case. But I think either way, it's like I was saying to you guys earlier, you know, either you're cleaning up the water, doing something good and not finding stuff, or just the curiosity of the objects that you're pulling out. And I mean, some of this is so random. You go to a boat dock and then you pull up a light pole and you're like, I think it's a story. Like, why is this here? Like, who would do this? Or an exorcist, or a four-wheeler. And then you find that gun and you're like, oh my gosh. Like, I can't explain it.
That's so cool. Yeah.
Is that's like the holy grail of magnet fishing? Yeah, a gun.
Yeah, it's so flooded now. Like the guns are so flooded on YouTube. Like, is it cool finding guns? Yeah, but at the end of the day, I mean, you're possibly holding a murder weapon. So I mean, you know, the police are going to get called. Me, if I had a holy grail of finding something with a magnet, is something that I'm not expecting. Like, don't give me a gun, don't give me a cannon, don't give me a car. Give me something that like I don't give me a boat motor, like just something like a giant
suit of
boat motor.
armor. Yeah.
Yeah, something crazy.
Oh, that's awesome. Yeah, we gotta get out.
Yeah, we
there.
gotta break that rig out for sure.
Yeah.
Yeah.
All right. Well, how about you guys? Everybody good? All right.
Yeah, just
Matt,
thanks
man.
for coming on, Matt.
Yeah, Matt.
awesome.
Thank you so much, man. It's been a blast, dude. Your story is awesome. You have really cool finds. You got way too many hobbies, that's for sure.
Right.
But you know what? Daisy's got to put up with that, not me. So I'm okay with that. But thanks again for coming on, speaking with us. Go over to his channel. Make sure you subscribe, watch it. You got some big stuff coming out on your story in the future. Yeah, Matt?
Yeah, so they're releasing a documentary about me a couple of weeks from now that's going on the YouTube platform. We're going to premiere it. That way everyone can talk with us, interact with us, and it's a film that is inspired to inspire. I mean, they asked me to do it, and it's literally from day one of me being able to see till the ups and downs of 13 surgeries, me and Daisy going back through the hardships, the downfall, the dark side, the happiness, how I got into scuba diving, how shark's teeth changed my life, and all in all, the goal the goal of the film was to inspire people, no matter what your disability hindrance is, to never let it stop you doing what you love doing.
I love it, man. I can't wait to watch it. So
absolutely.
But yeah, thanks for coming on. Thanks everybody for joining us and hanging out in the chat. It wasn't as rowdy as tonight as I was expecting, but that's okay. I saw some fart jokes and some burping jokes at one point.
There we go.
But thanks everybody. We'll be back next Wednesday. Who's on next Wednesday?
Tyson Fury.
We're getting another chance at Tyson. So thanks guys for hanging out. Matt, stay on. We're gonna close it off and we'll chat for a little bit afterwards. All right.
Thanks, guys.
Thanks guys. Have a good night. See you next Wednesday. Bye.